Okay, Richard, what are we playing this week then?
Right, so this week we're going to attempt to complete Dan Dare for the ZX Spectrum. Now, we've already done the C64 version of the game for the series, but this is actually completely different. The company that made the two games, they made them both simultaneously, but they sort of decided to make dedicated versions for each system to sort of use them to their full capacity, really. This game here, it's a non-linear action adventure game, and basically all you need to do is run around shooting the trees, and you sort of collect bombs and you take them to sort of a bomb disposal unit. So there's one room in the whole place, because this is just one huge level. There's one room which disposes the bombs. So you get a bomb, you take it back, you dispose of it, and it says the door is now opened. So a new route then opens up, and you go down the route, you find a bomb, you take it back to the bomb disposal unit again.
Yeah.
This game doesn't have lives in it. It actually works exactly like Impossible Mission. So you have a time limit to do the whole thing in, and every time you die, it takes away 10 minutes and dumps you in a jail, basically, which you immediately leave from, because apparently
Because it's a good jail.
apparently all the doors are faulty or something. It does sort of half explain it in the instructions. Unfortunately, Dan's gun is a bit faulty a lot of the time, so you want to just fire in 2 shots in case one of the things fails. Sometimes they just go like half the way down the screen and then stop. When you walk onto a new screen, fire a couple of times, because a lot of time you can be walking, there'll be an enemy very close to you. So every new screen, fire a couple of times. Then a lot of the time you're going to want to stop in the middle of the screen and just clear out the bad guys, because one thing that's sort of notable about this game is the enemies actually stay dead in it. So you can clear out the complex of enemies, and then you don't have to worry about them after that.
So you can commit genocide. Okay.
Yeah.
Dan Digby. Come on, Digby.
Sort of done like a comic book, isn't it, as well, obviously.
So obviously fire is fire. That's
Yeah.
a jump. Okay.
So,
Fired once. Oops.
a lot of the time you'll be alright doing it. You want to go down there.
Down here.
Don't worry about them.
Okay, you're right. Where's my life? That's there. Okay. I've got
Yeah, so your life's the bottom one, and your ammo is to the top bar.
Okay. Okay.
Right. So you want to go right and down effectively at this section.
Right, and then down here.
Yeah. You've got to go where the black section is. It's sort of 3D-ish sort of effect going on, isn't it?
Okay.
Now, a lot of the time it's wise to just stay out of the way, go to the right, and just shoot him as he comes up the elevator, and wait for the next dude as well. Oh, he's buggered off.
Okay, where to?
Down, and keep going down and right at the beginning.
There's a bomb.
Yeah. So you got to jump on top of the thing to collect it, and then after you found the bomb, you got to take it back to the bomb disposal
Which
system,
is where?
the self-destruct system. Or whatever. Keep going down, and then go all the way to the left, and then
Keep going down and then all the way to the left.
you see that door there as well. That's keep going down. That door is where it opens once you've done this bomb.
Uh-huh. And now what do I do?
Just walk into that room, and then it'll put us up there.
And then that's it, yeah?
It does actually say that it's an SDS key, so maybe it's a key to set a bomb going. That door there's open.
Ah,
you
this
can
one
move
here,
through
yeah.
there. Yeah.
Oh,
Just run past those.
do they hurt me?
Yeah. Shoot him. Yeah. Right, you've been put in jail, so
What? How?
you ran into that bad guy. You can't touch him.
I touched loads of them.
Yeah, and your health was going down the whole
I
time
had
until you
loads
got
of
to
health
0.
left.
That's it.
Now down.
Yeah.
How is that an elevator?
These things here, you can actually stomp on them. So just walk off the edge there and land on top of that thing.
Okay.
That's it.
I'll take that. There you go.
Nasty-ish jump here. You want to get to the edge and that's it. Nice one.
Go down.
Yeah. Just zoom down. When you're on an elevator, they can't hurt you.
That's right.
That was too early.
I was ready. Oh, what? I landed. You saw me land up.
Oh, you can't live for more than a screen's drop.
Oh, okay.
Right, you got 2 of 5 now.
Elsewhere, a door opens.
This is where it gets nasty.
It wasn't
Now
nasty already.
In the game of the super trees, if you touch a super tree, it's over. They take away all your health in one hit. You got to go up there. So you got to be super careful in here. Make sure you clear the screens out. Make sure you don't stand next to doors.
Here, screens don't stand next to doors. Gotcha. Now we're up.
Down.
Shit. What the fuck is that?
Those things don't die. They don't.
I went up.
You got lucky there.
I went up. Why isn't he dying?
Because you shot that guy. That guy can't get destroyed. That's it. That's it. Nice one. Now down that elevator. That door is where it's going to open if you can get this bomb back.
Oh, fuck you.
Oh, you got him.
Oh, this one's turn up. Only got 39 minutes left.
Yeah.
That's like 3 deaths. I'm never going to do this.
No.
Right, down, then right, then get up the top, then jump, hui, and jump again, hui, and get along. That's it.
Oh no, you've got to go back around.
Oh, jeez.
Nearly dead.
Yeah, that's my last bit of life as well. Oh, look at that. I'm going to die to this thing.
Right, let's see if I can do this then. So this is one of the first times where you saw this effect. What they've done is to get around the limitations of 2 colours per 8x8 square, they've started putting the objects in the foreground, so they obscure the character. It allows them to put more colour in the environments without there being like colour clash everywhere.
Yeah.
Just going to grab one of these, I think. And there's always pretty much like the one colour Dan Dare sprite on sort of one colour backgrounds, isn't there? With the 2 colour objects in the front. Sort of clever.
This is either blue or black, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dan Dare's green. Oh, look at that sliver of health.
Oh.
Oh, get the bomb, get the bomb. He's coming up.
As long as he comes up, it's okay.
Should have gone right.
That's good. At least we don't have to go back through this bit. This gun here is one of the only ones you can actually dodge because it's so far away. Oh, come on.
What was that? Oh, why did I pick any of that up? Oh, well, there, you're fine now.
Yeah, so this was one of the games that sort of made the name for Virgin Interactive in video games. This and a game called Sorcery Plus, which was on the Amstrad. Yeah. They were like the big hits early on. And they made 3 Dan Dare games, and the 3rd Dan Dare game was actually made by Dave Perry. So that's sort of like an early work that he did for Virgin Interactive before obviously going on to doing Aladdin and Cool Spot and such.
Yeah.
I think I better get that. Is he going to come back? Yep. This is one of the more dangerous sections here, because sometimes enemies can just get you. Exactly like that. It's unfortunate.
I think it suffers for not having any music, though.
Well,
even if it was just a plinky plonky thing in the background, you know.
It can't do it anyway, really, because the beeper it's not a sound chip. When they put in-game music in Spectrum games, what they're doing is they're sort of alternating between the CPU doing the music and the gameplay. Obviously, that's massively CPU intensive to do that. So it's sort of to be expected that most Spectrum games aren't going to have in-game music on this model. So I get rid of as much of this stuff as possible.
God, you need that help now. Hey.
I was
a key.
Getting a bit anxious there. Right, I'm going to pick up some stuff, I think. Unfortunately, the last section is the nastiest bit. I don't want to speak too soon, but I'm doing pretty well here in comparison to usual.
Yeah, you've spoken too soon. What are you doing?
Waiting for him to come down here.
Oh.
I do want to kill as many of them as possible.
Well, you need that ammo.
Now the Mekon is up here and on the right.
Right.
I just avoid him. As soon as you see the Meekon, he actually calls reinforcements, and the whole game has more enemies in it again. All the enemies come
jeez.
back, so you don't want to go right on this section here.
At the last one.
Yep. There's only one section in the game now that can screw me over. That's right at the end. This is actually the best run I've ever done on this game, I think, so far, by like miles. I've never even got up here. I usually get dragged back by the cage. The last section takes away all of your time, so
Oh.
if I die on the end section, it will give me a minute to get to the end from the closest cage.
Oh. So it's taken you down to 10 minutes already.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, because
right.
it said 11 minutes to self-destruct.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
There's one behind
Done. Yes. Oh, I'm glad I've done that on the first go.
you. Well done.
If I was to die on that final run, it would say something like you died in action, but you saved Earth. For this time, I mean, you didn't see a hell of a lot of games with sort of two endings. In fact, you rarely saw Spectrum games even with intros, really, you know.
Yeah.
What did you think about the comparison between the two, actually?
They are completely and utterly separate games, aren't they?
Yeah.
With
there's
Dan Dare
nothing
on the
similar.
Commodore, you were constantly worried that you had to go and change this mirror around here, or
Yeah.
make sure you get this thing to make this thing to go get this thing to go. And that was completely taken out of the Spectrum game, and
Yeah.
all you had to do was make sure you went the right direction, kill the right things, and then you're done.
I mean,
which was good.
This is fundamentally an action game, really, isn't it? It's sort of like an early platform shooter. There are adventuring elements, very minor ones, exploration,
Yeah.
and item management, I would say, because you've got to think, right, I need the ammo here for this section. Should I pick up the health here, or should I do the other section first? So there is some minor sort of adventuring aspects, but mainly it is a platform shooter with these sorts of elements.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, the C64 game is a lot more cerebral. It's more about puzzle solving, isn't it? Less
Definitely.
about action. Obviously, we had issues with the action sections in the C64 game, didn't we? Because they were quite
punching.
awkward, sort
They
of
were very awkward.
sections. The guy that made the C64 game, he commented that he didn't feel that Dan Dare should have a gun because he was always fighting in the comic books. Whereas, obviously in this, they just give him a gun.
Just because of the fighting in that Commodore game, I hated that so much that I
Yeah.
actually so much more enjoyed that.
Yeah, so you would
yeah.
prefer this one over the Commodore one?
Even, yeah.
Yeah, nowadays I'd rather play this game, but I feel the C64 game was probably more notable at the time for the stuff that it sort of, the breakthroughs it made, the ideas it had in. So obviously the big sort of action adventure game this year was Metroid, you know, and obviously Metroid kind of it does sort of trash this game a
It
lot
completely and utterly trashes it.
but as we always say, Metroid was only on the Famicom Disk System
Yeah.
in 1986, so you actually had to buy an add-on that was pretty expensive. So this was very much a premium product. I think it is fairer to compare this like for like for
Yeah.
games that weren't on add-ons. I mean, what about Sacred Armor of Antiriad? How do you think this compares to that game?
I think they're quite comparable actually. I think they're quite on a level pegging really. And Teriad it had better ideas when it comes to
Yeah.
adventuring, but Dante is just so accessible.
Yeah, that is the main thing with this game. It's fairly accessible as a Spectrum game, and it's just action packed. And it can get actually quite exciting when you're running low on time as well, and you
And
know
health.
that you're going to have to go back to the start.
Oh
you know?
god, I'm gonna have to go
one
through that
mistake.
section with all the lasers,
So-
and I've got this much health.
Yeah, so that sort of constantly checking your health and the time, it brings a little bit of excitement to the game.
Having said that, when you're just about to walk through a doorway and then you die for no reason, and you
Yeah.
realise that's because something's just walked through into you,
Yeah,
and you had no way of avoiding it whatsoever.
that is the case.
Thanks, Becky.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there are issues with the game in that area.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be unfair, not just with enemies coming out of doors. I mean, to be fair, you could sort of shoot at the doors if you went every time, just in case, to an extent. But what's worse is actually when you go up an elevator and there's an enemy standing where the elevator is in the next screen,
And you can't stop.
and you can't stop, and you just
Like,
lose.
oh
10
look, I'm
minutes.
going to die in about half a second.
But I mean, these sorts of problems are actually they're in most games from this year. Really, I think for this year, this is actually probably fairer than most of the games that are around, apart from some of these Famicom Disk System games, some of these NES games. But most games were very unfair at the time, and And on the upside, I think, I don't know if we've mentioned yet, but clearing out the enemies is quite nice as well. You know, because
especially when you've got like a finite amount of time, finite amount of health, and finite amount of ammo.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to be shooting things and trying to avoid things all over again when you've already taken out, and you know you're going to have to go back to that section to put the keys in. So that does make a lot of sense.
yeah, score-wise, obviously things like Metroid are way ahead of this, so I can't give this a 5 out of 5. Metroid is probably 2 whole points better than this, but I don't think, like I said, I don't think it's fair to say that for the fact that it's a premium product, and I don't think it's fair to compare the games. So personally, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5 because it's an excellent game and it's easily above average. I mean, a lot of people won't have played a lot of the stuff that came out in 1986. And this game is so blatantly better than maybe 70% of the games at the very least. You know, probably more like even 80%. You know, most people are just familiar with the Metroids and Super Mario Brothers. And I just do feel like Metroid and Zelda, the Famicom Disk System just sort of allowed them to jump ahead a year and come out a year earlier than they naturally would have done, you know?
Myself, again, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say 4, but only the only reason I'm going to say 4 is because it lacks fairness. And I know you're going to say, oh, well, it was more fair than most, but I saw you walk through that doorway and there was nothing on the screen to kill you.
You might have just been obscured by it.
No, it wasn't obscured.
Yeah.
There was no pixel. There wasn't even a pixel to suggest.
I think we'll have to recheck the footage for this
I
one.
think we might do. Because of fairness, down to a 4, but a high 4 because it's a very, very fun game. It's very easily accessible, easy to play. It's nice that it remembers where everything is.
Yeah.
Really nice. And you can run through it in 20 minutes as you did. So it's nice just to pick up and play.
Okay, guys, that's Dan Dare for this week on the Spectrum. Completely unrecognisable from the Commodore.
Yeah, totally different game.
Completely different.
And
game.
actually, that's quite interesting in itself, really, isn't it? Because obviously, there's no way that the PS4 and the Xbox One or whatever would have completely different versions
you
of
wouldn't get away
like
with it
famous
today.
games now. You know,
No.
always the same game on everything.
Definitely.
You know?
But if you enjoyed that, guys, please give us a like, give us a comment, tell us what you think. And we'll see you next week with another game. Take care, guys.
So yeah.